त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तिसुदेशिकेन्द्रं द्वैपायनं सूत्रकृतं मुनीन्द्रं श्रीशङ्करं भाष्यकृतं यतीन्द्रं मद्देशिकञ्चापि नमामि विद्यै। ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्यासम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंशऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितप्रज्ञानगणः प्रत्यगर्तो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। ॐ प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। Pranams everyone. We are in chapter 3, sloka number 26. Shri Bhagavan uvacha na buddhibhedam janayet ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yuktas samācaran. So here Bhagavan is actually giving an advice to the jnanis. So he just gave some difference between the jnani and ajnani and how Bhagavan himself acts as an example or gives himself as an example for the sake of sishtachara. And then here in this sloka 26, Bhagavan gives an advice, an important advice to jnanis. And that is to not, what sort of advice to the jnani should give to the ajnanis. That is the one. And this is an important sloka, as we said in the last class. So in the last class we saw how people can be divided into four categories. One, pamaraha. These are people whose only goal in life is to eat well, sleep well. That's all. Eat, sleep. They are nothing but tamasic people. And then the second group of people are vishayinah. Vishayinah are people who love to live their life. They say they want to enjoy, have sensory pleasures. So they want to live life the way they want. They want to, as they say, some people say, work hard, play hard, some kind of things. Want to see the world, want to visit different places, want to have different kinds of food. This is the vast majority of people. So most of us are in that category. Then there are people who are called mumukshutva, people like us who desire for moksha. Now this is a very small minority. Probably in the world, probably about less than 5% of people who desire for moksha. Then we have paramahamsaha, where these are people who have already gained jnana, they have already attained moksha. Now a jnani could meet all of these four kinds of people. With regards to pamaraha, the advice is for the jnanis, or even for us for that matter, we should not speak to them, we should not engage them. For them, in fact, we should not even ask them to come to Vedanta class. The first thing is because they are tamasic people, they will have to go to become a rajasic person before they can come for the sattvic sadhanas. So we should not actually engage them at all. They are not going to be interested in whatever we say with regards to Atma Jnana or Vedanta. So we should let them be what they are. As regards to category 4, which is the Paramahamsa, there is no need to advise the jnani. There is no need to engage them also. They are already liberated. Now we have only two categories in between now. One is the vishayinah. And how should we deal with them? Bhagavan says, do not by mistake, even by mistake, utter the word vairagya to them. Why? Because they are people who want to enjoy their life. So for them, if we go around and say to them like, whatever actions you do, it is all anityam, Even Swarga, if you go, it is all anityam. You will have to come back to this world. Kshine punye madhyalokam vishanti. Upanishad says that even if you go to Swargaloka, once your punyam is exhausted, you will have to come back to this world. So for them, it is not good to actually advise them. No need to tell them to come to Vedanta class or anything of that sort. But generally for us, what happens is we have got this taste of Vedanta. We become happy. We find it useful. We find this wonderful. It says the truth, and we want this truth to be known to everyone so that it becomes useful for everyone. So we would want to share it with others. We become overly enthusiastic, and then we go around talking about, about this Vedanta class. This is good to people who are interested in bhogas. Now, if they are very interested in bhogas, in terms of bhogas means what? Experiencing these worldly pleasures. Then they will, when you utter this word Vedanta, they will develop an aversion towards Vedanta. They will start having this bitterness towards Vedanta. So, Bhagavan is advising a jnani or a person like us who are in this Vedantic path, do not bring this topic of Vairagya or Vedanta to a vishayinah. And he is saying this in almost in as many words. It is an important advice. Bhagavan is advising a jnani not to advise others, anyone who belong to this category of vishayinah. So what should be the advice then to the people of vishayinah? The advice should be on dharma. We should not advise about the fact that desire is the cause of all sorrow. No need to advise them on that. In fact, we should tell them, desire as much as you want. Enjoy your life, but follow dharma. Follow dharma when yearning, follow dharma when enjoying. Teach them on dharma, teach them on culture. Do not advise them on vairagya. Do not talk to them on Vedanta. Because why? Because these people want to accumulate wealth. They want to accumulate people. They want to accumulate possessions. They want to develop contacts. They want to build their network. They want to get name. They want to get fame. Their priorities are different. And what will happen if we actually advise them about all these things? About the shortcomings of kamya karma. Because what they are doing is all kamya karma. What will happen if we advise them? It will turn counterproductive. Because neither will they be able to turn to dharma, nor will they be able to turn to Vedanta. They will be further dragged down. So what will happen to these people? When will they come? They will come when they mature. They will come when they themselves are able to see the shortcomings of materialistic life. And that could happen in this birth or next birth or some other birth in future. But one thing is sure, if a person leads a life of dharma, that dharma itself will bring to this person to this path one day. So we need not worry about that. And here we are not come to change anybody in this world. We have come only to change ourselves. We should not even try to bring our own spouse into this. This spiritual path is a one-way path. Do not expect company here. This is not like a group study kind of thing. It's a contemplation that one must have in solitude. So this path, do not expect to bring somebody else along with you in this path. And this advice of Vedanta, Vairagya should not be given to vishayinah, should not be given to school children, should not be given to young people also. For young people also, we will also be very careful. We'll have to just tell them about we'll have to instruct them to follow dharma, follow values, ask them to yearn, enjoy, but all within the framework of dharma. That should be good enough. What about A mumukshu. What should the advice of a jnani be to a mumukshu? To a mumukshu, a jnani can advise on vairagya. The jnani can talk about how the world is anityam, so that the vairagya gets strengthened. The jnani should fan that flame of vairagya in a mumukshu. He can continuously talk about how this world is anityam, asukham, all those things. So in short, what should be the advice? To a jnani, if a person comes and says the world is a fantastic place, it's a good place, it's a nice place, the jnani should say, yes, correct, you're right. If a person comes back and says the world is bad, it is anityam, asukham, one should get out of this world, then the jnani should say, yes, absolutely right. So in both cases, jnani just should say yes. Remember, it's not actually being hypocrite or anything, because people are at different levels. So in this sloka, Bhagavan is talking about how a jnani should deal with vishayinah, people who are involved in enjoying sensual pleasures. Bhagavan says, do not disturb them, leave it to themselves. So we'll go to the sloka. Na buddhibhedam janayet ajnanam karma sanginam. Na janayet. Na janayet means should not create. Should not create. Na janayet, should not create. What should not be created? Buddhibhedam. Buddhibhedam means confusion in the intellect. One should not create confusion in the intellect. Whose intellect? Ajnanam. Ajnana means ignorant people. Of the ignorant people. The ignorant people means vishayinah. Who are these ignorant people? How do they behave? Karma sanginam. Karma sanginam means they are attached to action. They are attached to various actions. They want to do so many things in life. They want to achieve this, achieve that. They want to get name. They want to get fame, power, position. They want to get material possessions. To them, do not create confusion. Do not create confusion in the intellect of the ignorant people who are attached to action. That is what Bhagavan says. And why should be that way? Remember, if a jnani comes and he advises this ajnani about how the world is fleeting, temporary, and all those things, and that all these things will not give him contentment, happiness, and all those things. Now, this ajnani might have this shraddha in this jnani. Here is a guru who tells me these things, so he might have some shraddha in jnani's words. But the problem for him is, for this ajnani is, his attachment towards this bhoga, for this life's pleasure, is even higher. Though he's got some shraddha in what jnani says, though he's got some bhakti with the jnani or the guru, his attachment towards life's offerings is even higher. So what happens for him if we say the karma phalam is anityam, the world is anityam, and all those things, he might get confused. And what happens is attachment on the world is so high that he will not be able to let go of those things also, and at the same time he may not be able to hold on to what the jnani's advice is. So he will become confused. So the thing about is, we should only advise if they seek, if they ask. So what should a jnani do? What should a jnani do? Bhagavan says in the second line, Joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yuktas samācaran. Joshayet. Joshayet means inspire them, should inspire them. We'll have to give them enthusiasm. How to give them? Do your puja, do your vrata, do what, go for your spiritual retreats, go and do this yatra. inspire them. Vidwan, a wise man. As a wise man, inspire them. How should this wise man be? How should this person be? Sarva karmani samācaran. All duties of this, the wise man must be efficiently performing. So by efficiently performing his own duties, the wise man should inspire the others. But when this wise man, this jnani, is performing his duties efficiently, should he get attached to it? No, Bhagavan says yuktaha. Yuktaha means with discipline. Even when you are performing all these duties, performing them efficiently, that person must do it with discipline, meaning that person must remain in jnana. So, the jnani remains in action by performing his duties efficiently, but at the same time remaining in jnana, thereby inspiring the ajnanis, thereby inspiring, giving them the enthusiasm. So, especially when you are a grihastha jnani, when you are in grihastha ashrama and you are already a jnani, then you should not give just verbal advice. You should do by example. You should set an example. That's why, Shankaracharyas in any of those mutts, they have taken sannyasa. They need not do any puja. According to a shastra, a sannyasi does not require to do any physical puja. Because even if he wants to do puja, he can do manasa puja. That's okay. Vigraha puja is not at all required for a sannyasi. And yet, the Shankaracharyas in the matams, what they do? They do puja, vigraha puja. Why? Because they want to set an example. And that's what Bhagavan says. Bhagavan says, samācaran, do that efficiently. A jnani should be in discipline. A jnani should remain in jnana. But he should yet perform all his actions efficiently, thereby inspiring the ajnanis to follow the path. By inspiring them to follow dharma. So that one day this ajnani will come to Vedanta. The one day this ajnani will develop vairagya towards this world. Now this is very important. Remember, if we listen to all these Vedas and Vedantas, we can see that there seems to be a seeming contradiction in what the Vedas teach. And that's why Hinduism is a complex religion. Because why it is complex? Because there seems to be, within Vedas, there seems to be seeming contradictions wherever we see. And it is only seeming. It is not. There is no actual contradiction there. And what is that seeming contradiction? If we see, the scriptures advise certain things. In the sense, they glorify certain sadhanas. And then the very same scriptures then criticize those sadhanas in another place. Especially if we look at it, the karmas at one place is praised by the Vedas. And then in another place, the same Vedas criticize karma. And where is this karma kind of favored and where it is criticized? In the Karma Kanda portion of the Vedas, which is the initial portion of the Vedas, we will find that the karma is glorified. Even within Upanishads, for that matter, in Mundaka Upanishad itself, in the initial portion, Tadetat Satyam Mantreshu Karmani Kavayo, it starts there where it says perform rituals, perform puja, do japa. it advises everyone to do rituals, puja, japa and all those places. Then in the very same Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, in a few slokas itself, it says, those who take to karma are all mudaha, are all fools. Similarly, in Taittiriya Upanishad, if you see, it says Agnihotram cha swadhyaya pravachane cha Aditasya swadhyaya pravachane cha Manusham cha swadhyaya pravachane cha Prajascha swadhyaya pravachane cha. It keeps saying, it glorifies karma. It says, do this, do this. Then, in another place in the Vedas, we say, na karmana na prajaya dhane na tyage naike amritatvamana sukhu. That Veda which glorified grihastha ashrama, which glorified prajacha swadhyaya pravachane, that same Veda says your spouse cannot give you moksha, your husband cannot be moksha, your wife cannot give you moksha, na prajaya, your sons and daughters cannot give you moksha, na dhanena, even money cannot give you moksha. Therefore, quit all those things. So, if we read these passages, especially if we do it on our own, we will get confused. And therefore, how do we reconcile this contradiction? There is only one way to reconcile contradiction. That is to understand at one stage what is there as a blessing, the very same thing becomes an obstacle at a later stage. That is one thing we should understand. What works today need not work tomorrow. The second thing that we have to understand is the scriptures, the Vedas, are not addressing only one set of people. The Vedas are addressing people of different degrees of spiritual evolution, different levels of spirituality, different levels of seekers. So, and therefore, the address can never be uniform. Just when you go to a doctor, to one person, the doctor might say, so just as we go to a doctor, the doctor cannot give the same advice to everybody. To one person, the doctor might say, you will have to eat more. To some other person, he will have to say, eat less. So what does that mean is, there is an adhikari bheda. Adhikari Bheda means different level. Adhikari means seeker. What could be food for one person could be poison for another. And the same manner, the scriptures advise certain things. When it advises certain things, for certain group of people, it glorifies certain sadhanas. And the very same scriptures criticize the very same sadhanas in a different context. And how should we understand this? It's just like, if we take the example of a child in the womb of the mother, in the first 9 months, the child requires the womb. Within the mother, it can only grow in that kind of an atmosphere. It needs that kind of cover. That's why when there is a premature delivery, what happens is that there will be an artificial womb like incubator that is created for the child. The child must be carefully protected. But then this womb is extremely important for the first 10 months. But the child cannot remain within this womb forever. It can feel nice and cozy initially, but it has to come out of it. It cannot remain permanently there. And the same manner, the same principle we will have to apply for everything in life. What is good for the initial stage of growth, we will have to enter it, grow within it, and then grow out of it also. The same example the nature gives is with regards to a fruit. A fruit requires the skin for ripening. Without the skin, the fruit cannot ripen. When it is raw, Ishvara knows the skin is important. Ishvara has created that condition. And therefore, if we try to peel the banana when it is still raw, it will be difficult. It would not come out easily. Because it is required for ripening. But once it becomes ripe, We cannot say the skin is very important, and only because of the skin the ripening has happened, and therefore I would eat with the skin. We cannot do that. The skin will naturally need to come off also. The more the ripen the fruit is, the easier it is to peel the skin. And that's why we have a mantra, Trayambakam Mejamahe Sugandhim Puttivardhanam Urvarukam Ivavandanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. We should, just as that automatically it falls off, we should also fall off. Once if I have entered a center, I should not get stuck. I should learn, I should grow, and I should grow out of that also. That's why even this grihastha ashrama, this wedding, is an intermediary womb stage. We have these 4 ashramas. We enter brahmacharya ashrama, then we have to grow out of brahmacharya ashrama. Then we enter grihastha ashrama, we have to grow out of grihastha ashrama. We have to go to vanaprastha. We have to go to sannyasa. Sannyasa means not ochre robes, not physical sannyasa. Mentally we'll have to give up everything. The idea is everything in life has a validity. So which means, does karmas have a validity? Should I perform karmas throughout? Everything has a validity, even karmas also. So initially we are supposed to do a lot of karmas, pujas, asanas, yogasanas, meditation, and all those things. We have to serve the society, we'll have to do all these kind of things. But once we mature, we'll have to drop them and come to Vedanta Shravana Manana Nididhyasanam. We will have to do Atma Vichara. But at the same time, we should if we drop karmas before we mature, then we will turn up as hypocrites also. Remember the Sloka 3.6, 3rd chapter 6 Sloka. Karmendriyani samyamya yaste manasasmaran indriyartan vimudatma mithyacharasya uchyate. We will become hypocrites, mithyacharaha. When the mind is immature, and if we drop all these karmas, as in all the sadhanas, then the mind has no engagement to perform duties. It ends up, spending time in seeking pleasures. So as long as we have not matured, it is good, it is better to continue to do puja, continue to do japa, continue to remain in satsanga. All these religious activities give support to that person. So until that mind is mature, is looking for name, fame, all these things wrong? No. When a person is seriously interested in getting name, fame, let him be. An intelligent person should not criticize that person. He should not create a guilt complex in that person. So even Vedas encourage people, do karma, earn money, enjoy it legitimately, let it be dharmic, follow artha kama. But along with that, I add dharma. Dharma, artha, kama. So all the artha and kama should be mingled with dharma. And along with that, bhakti also. There has to be devotion. So once we do that, as we do that, because of dharma, one day we will come out of that at an appropriate time. When do we come out of it? Mundaka Upanishad says, Parikshya lokan karmachitan brahmano nirveda mayat nastasya krita kritena. Parikshya lokan karmachitan. After doing all this work, we will do reflection. We will reflect and we will realize that nirveda maya, we will get vairagya. We will seek a guru with vairagya. What do we realize? That whatever I have done, whatever I have achieved, these do not give me complete happiness. And therefore we will seek a guru with vairagya, nirveda maya, with dispassion. So when can we drop karma? Bhagavad Gita says in 252 we saw Yada te mohakalilam buddhir vyatitarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam srotavyasya sutasya cha. When a person gains nirvedam, dispassion, when a person gets vairagya, he can drop karmas. So which means, can I actually force myself to get myself vairagya? Can I force myself that from tomorrow I will get vairagya? Can I force it? Dispassion cannot be forced. Dispassion should grow in the mind of a person. What happens if I force vairagya, saying that from tomorrow I should not do these things? I should not look for anything on artha kama. I should be only focusing on atma vichara. In forced detachment, what happens? The person will become dejected, gloomy, will become sad, depressed. Whereas if we attain that naturally, we will become calm, we will become composed, we will be cheerful, we will be relaxed. And how do we know, how do we actually measure progress? Who can help in this? Guru is necessary. If the scriptures are studied properly through a competent guru, then there will be no contradictions. Thus, this is an important portion, because here in this portion Bhagavan says, Ajnani, let him work, jnani, he should not disturb, and the Vedas also in some places favor karma, in some places criticize karma, and therefore I thought we will have this small vichara there. Now we will go back to Bhagavad Gita, Sloka number 27, chapter 3. Shri Bhagavanuvacha prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashah ahankara vimoodatma kartahamiti manyate. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashah ahankara vimoodatma kartahamiti manyate. So in this sloka 27 and 28, Bhagavan is comparing the actions of an ajnani and a jnani. Again, these two slokas are important because these slokas contain the essence of all the Upanishads. These two slokas, Prakriti Kriyamanani and Tattvavitu Mahabaho, the next sloka, they are not just important slokas within the third chapter. They are important slokas within the Gita itself. And in sloka 27, Bhagavan describes the mind of an ajnani. What is an ajnani state of mind? How will the mind of an ajnani be when he is doing some action? And Bhagavan vividly describes it. And then in sloka 28, Bhagavan describes a jnani's mind when he is performing an action. And why does Bhagavan do that? That is because both jnani as well as an ajnani perform actions. So far Bhagavan has been saying that same thing, isn't it? I mean, Bhagavan said to Arjuna, even if you have chitta shuddhi, even if you have got jnana, you should not give up your duties for the sake of the society. And Bhagavan gave an example. Janaka and other kings have indulged in actions for loka sangraha. Therefore, if your prarabdha is such that if you have to be in the midst of action, you must perform those actions. So, a jnani as well as an ajnani might perform actions from the outside. For a person observing a jnani as well as an ajnani, if you look at it, both will look the same. They will be doing the same action. If that is the case, what is the difference? The difference is in the bhavana, in the attitude. So here Bhagavan is explaining the bhavana inside an ajnani's mind. What sort of mindset will that ajnani have, and what sort of mindset will a jnani have? And another question we might have, we've always told that actions bind people, right? Any action that we do will bind us. If that is the case, both jnani and ajnani are performing actions, how does that the actions performed by an ajnani bind him, whereas an actions performed by a jnani, that does not bind him? How is it possible? Because you can say one does it knowingly, one does it unknowingly. One jnani does it knowingly, and ajnani does it unknowingly. But whether you are doing it knowingly or unknowingly, the outcome should be the same, isn't it? For example, if there are two persons who drink poison, one knowingly and the other person unknowingly, then the outcome will have to be the same. If that is the case, then if a jnani does an action and an ajnani does an action, both should get bound, whether you do it knowingly or unknowingly. That could be one of the questions in a seeker's mind. That is being explained by Bhagavan here. Now, what is the main difference? The main difference is, for an ajnani, he thinks, I am the doer, I am the performer of the action. Whereas the jnani does not think so. That is the main difference. Now, if a jnani thinks, I am not the doer, then who is the doer of the action? Bhagavan explains that in subsequent slokas. After 28, 29 onwards, he is explaining that. Who is the doer of those actions? And Bhagavan is sharing a fact here. In the first line of the sloka, he is giving a fact for us to understand, remember, make note of. And that is, an ajnani does not recognize the fact. This fact, what Bhagavan says. And therefore, he confuses himself to be the doer. He thinks, I am the doer. And because of that, all the results of the karma pala goes to him. Now, what is the fact that Bhagavan gives in the first line? First, we will kind of discuss that before we go to the sloka. Now, in the second chapter, we discussed about Atma Anatma Viveka. Where did we do that? Between sloka 12 and sloka 25, we discussed about Atma and Anatma. Bhagavan split the Jiva into two, Atma and Anatma. If you remember, that Anatma is being referred to as Prakriti. It is being referred to as Prakriti in this sloka. So in this sloka, where you see Prakriti, it refers to the Anatma. In fact, in chapter 13, when we go there, we will do another Atma Anatma Viveka. There he will call Atma and Anatma as Purusha and Prakriti. So Prakriti here means Anatma. Now when we discuss this Atma Anatma Viveka in chapter 2 between sloka 12 and 25, we saw a few differences. Just to recollect, one, we saw Atma is Chetana Swarupa. Atma is awareness principle. Atma is the one which is able to be aware of things. Anatma is Acetanam. It's inert. It's Jadam. The entire world is Anatma. It's Jadam, including the physical body. We saw that. The second difference we saw as Atma is Drik Swarupam. Atma is the seer. And Anatma is Drishyam. Atma is the experiencer. Anatma is the experienced. That is the second difference we saw. Then the third difference we saw as Atma is Nirgunam, without attributes. Anatma is Sagunam, full of attributes. Whilst we saw all these differences, one more important difference we studied was how Atma is Akarta and Abhokta. Atma is neither the doer nor the enjoyer. Whereas Anatma is both Karta and Bhokta. Anatma is the doer and the enjoyer. Which Sloka in particular gave that difference? We saw it in Sloka 219. Yeyenam veti hantaram. That Sloka. Nayam hanti na hanyate. That Sloka we saw that Atma is Akarta, Anatma is Karta. There we saw Yeyenam veti hantaram, that we saw the one who considers the self to be a killer and the one who considers the self to be killed, both of them do not know. That is what the exact meaning of the Sloka was. In other words, the self does not kill nor it is killed. And the killing has to be replaced with any action. So the self does not do any action. The self does not take the results of any action also. So self meaning Atma. So Atma is Akarta. And the Anatma is nothing but this world and the body. The body, the physical body is also Anatma. Are all Anatma and is Jadam. So it's important for us to know this Atma Anatma difference, but more important for us to know is where do we stand in Atma Anatma? Who am I? When I say who am I the Atma or am I the Anatma? It is important to know that. This knowledge, whether I am Atma or Anatma, is not known to an Ajnani. Because the Ajnani takes himself or takes the body mind to be himself. I am hurt. I am hungry. I am depressed. When we say I am depressed, it is the mind which is depressed. But he takes I to be the mind or mind to be the I. I am hungry. It is the body, physical body that is hungry. But he takes I, the body to be I, and therefore he says I am hungry. So this knowledge is not there for an Ajnani. The Ajnani takes the body mind to be self. And therefore he considers all the Anatma's actions, all the actions of the body and mind to be his. This is the important understanding that we got in that Sloka. That Atma is Akarta, but for an Ajnani, because the Ajnani takes the body and mind to be him, the self, he considers all the Anatma's action to be his. Now if we know that, after just recollecting that, now we will go to the Sloka. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. Prakritehe. Prakritehe means prakritis. As I said, Prakriti here refers to Anatma. Anatma's gunaihi. Gunaihi means Prakriti's gunas or Anatma's gunas. The gunas of Prakriti, the gunas of Anatma. Karmani kriyamanani. Karmani means all actions. Kriyamanani means are performed. So the gunas of Prakriti or all actions are performed by the gunas of Prakriti. Karmani kriyamanani prakritehe gunaihi. All actions are performed by Anatma's gunas. Is there any exception? Bhagavan says, no, sarvashaha. Sarvashaha means under all conditions. There are no exceptions. In other words, is there an exception where the Atma performs an action and the Anatma does not? Is there any particular exception? Bhagavan says no. Under all circumstances, all actions are done by the gunas of Prakriti only, are done by the Anatma's gunas only. Going to give out some technical jargons here. We would have studied this in the second chapter. We would have studied this in the introduction of Vedanta also. Just listen. If you are not able to get back, you listen to it again, or you refer back to the old slokas. What is Prakriti? Prakriti is Maya. What is Maya? Ishvara's Shakti. In other words, Maya is nothing but Anatma. Maya can be called as Prakriti. Maya can be called as Karana Shariram. Now this Maya has three types of gunas. When we say Maya, we say Trigunatmika Maya. Maya has varieties of Lakshana. One of them is the three gunas. What are those three gunas? Sattva, Rajas, Tamo. So the Maya has got three gunas. In other words, Prakriti has got three gunas. What are those three gunas? Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Bhagavan is going to talk about these three gunas in detail in the 14th chapter. The entire chapter is dedicated to these gunas. That's why that 14th chapter is called as Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. An entire chapter is dedicated. There we will see these gunas in detail. Here we will see however much we must need to understand. What is Sattva Guna? Sattva Guna is knowledge. What is Rajoguna? Rajoguna is action. What is Tamoguna? Tamoguna is actionlessness. Actionless. Neither knowledge nor action. And what does we know about Maya? Maya is a mixture of these three gunas. So if anything that comes out of Maya, it will have a mixture of these three gunas. And these three gunas will replace one another. When the Maya is unmanifest, when we say Maya unmanifest means when there is no creation, when during the stage of Pralayam, when the Maya is completely unmanifest, at that point the three gunas are balanced. All three gunas are balanced. When does the creation happen? When the balance of the gunas start changing, the creation happens. And therefore, the creation, which is this Jagat, which is this universe, it has all these three gunas. So this Prapancham we see is nothing but Maya. The Prapancham or the Jagat is the manifestation of Maya. And therefore, everything in this creation will have these three gunas. Our body has these three gunas, this table has these three gunas, this laptop has three gunas, the tree has three gunas, the water, the building, everything in this Jagat, the sun, moon, stars, everything has got a mixture of these three gunas. And these gunas are the ones that perform the action. This is what Bhagavan says. So, what is the cause for actions? These three gunas. So, whenever we are thinking, whenever we are contemplating, whenever we are reading, whenever we are understanding, right now as we speak, as we do now, it is our Sattva Guna in action now. Whenever we use our body to perform actions, it is Rajoguna in action. Whenever we are lazy, whenever we are sleeping, whenever we are in delusion, it is Tamoguna in action. Thus, it is the three gunas that are performing the actions. So just to recollect, Maya has become this prapancha, this universe. This universe contains the Panchabhutas, the 5 elements. From the 5 elements have come all the plants, animals, rivers, mountains, etc. The same Maya has also become the bodies, the minds also, and therefore everything in this world is from Maya, and therefore it is a mixture of 3 gunas, and it is the 3 gunas that are responsible for all our actions also. The 3 gunas being sattva, rajas and tamas, and that is what we have to remember. This is a fact, and that is given by Bhagavan in the first line. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashah. All actions are done by the gunas of Prakriti under all conditions. So when we take our body in particular, our body meaning Stula Shariram, Sukshma Shariram, if we take that as an example, Stula Shariram meaning the physical body, Sukshma Shariram meaning the mind, it has come out of this Maya only. And the Maya has a mixture of 3 gunas. And those gunas are responsible for all our actions. This is the fact. And when we say karmani, prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashah. Karmani means actions, all actions. Whether it is vaidiha karmani, whether it is laukika karmani, all actions. So if a person has got good shraddha, good sattva guna, he will perform vaidiha karma. If a person wants to be active, if his rajoguna is higher, then he will do all the bodily actions. So this is a fact. All actions are performed by the gunas. They have come from Prakriti under all circumstances. Now this fact is not recognized by an Ajnani. Why it is not recognized by an Ajnani? Because he is an Ajnani. Ajnani means ignorant one. He is ignorant of this knowledge. Now why does he not get this knowledge? Bhagavan says, second line, Ahankara vimūdatma kartahamiti manyate. Ahankara vimūdatma. Ahankara, we know Ahankara. Vimūdatma. Vimūdatma means, Vimūda means deluded. One who is in moham. He is deluded. Atma here means mind. So Ahankara vimūdatma means one whose mind is deluded by Ahankara. And what is Ahankara here? Ahankara means not this Tamil Ahankaram we say. Ahankara here means the identification of self, where we have kept the aham buddhi. Ahankara means where we have kept aham. When I say aham, I, where I have kept that I to be. Here when we say Ahankara vimūdatma, whose mind is deluded by Ahankara, means the person who has mistakenly identified himself to be this body-mind complex. That buddhi, vimūdatma means that buddhi which identifies the self to be this body-mind complex. Karya karane aham buddhi, that Ahankara. And Ajnani thinks that the self to be the body and mind. Because of Ahankara, he considers the body and mind complex to be the self. And because of this wrong identification, Bhagavan calls him Vimūdatma. Mudaha means fool, Vimūdaha means deluded. One who is in moham. What sort of delusion he has? Remember, what is delusion? Delusion is a state where you take the right to be wrong and the wrong to be right. And what is the delusion this person has? This person has taken the body-mind complex to be himself. And why does he have this taken the body-mind complex to be him? Because he does not have Atma Anatma Viveka. So one who has this ahankara, he is deluded and thinks that the body-mind complex to be the self. So Bhagavan has given the reason. Now Bhagavan is giving the thought process. When he is in action, what does he think? Ahankara vimūdatma kartahamiti manyate. Manyate means he thinks. What does he think? Karta aham iti. Aham karta iti. Iti means thus. Aham karta, I am the doer. Bhagavan says he thinks thus. Bhagavan says this ignorant person who is deluded about what is self, he thinks that I am the doer. Whereas what is the fact? The fact is the first line. Under all conditions, our actions are done by the gunas of Prakriti. But this person thinks I am the doer. Bhagavan says he thinks, manyate. He thinks, which means it is not the fact. It is not the fact. He just thinks that he is the doer. The truth is different. The truth is actions are not done by the actions are not done by the self. Actions are done by the guna rupa sarira. So when an ajnani is in action, though it is the gunas of the body that are in the action and not the self, the ajnani, because of his identification of the self to be with the body-mind complex, because he is deluded, and therefore he takes the action of the body and mind and he thinks, I am the doer. Therefore, we must understand that an ajnani is bonded due to action. This bonded due to action is not called out by Bhagavan. It is not explicitly, but it is to be understood. In the next sloka, we will see what is the mindset of a jnani when he performs an action. We will see it in the next class. Any questions or comments? Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah.